Hello and welcome back to Flipped Psychology. I'm Miss Lee. We are still in Unit 3, Sensation and Perception. Today's video is Section 4, the other senses. Our objective is to describe the other sensory systems, including olfaction and gustation, and identify skin senses and kinesthesis. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and grab your notes and let's get started. Okay, so let's start out with a grouping of senses known as the chemical senses. The chemical senses include both smell and taste. Smell's fancy word is olfaction, so the process of smelling is known as olfaction. This allows a person to taste. It involves stimulation of receptor cells in the nasal passages by airborne substances called odorants. So these are chemicals coming into your nose and being detected through your olfactory bulb. If you look over at the picture on the left of your screen, you see the olfactory bulb is actually kind of attached to the frontal lobe, so it's right there at the brain, and it is the sense that is the exception to all the other senses. It does not go to the thalamus. It is going to be processed in the olfactory bulb and sent to the amygdala and the hippocampus. So this information is going to the parts of our brain that are responsible for emotions and memory, which is why so often we associate certain smells very strongly with emotional memories. So remembering the smell of certain baked goods, you associate them with someone that used to make them for you, and you love them and you miss them because they're maybe no longer with us, or you have very strong feelings about the smell of coffee if you are me. So the chemical sense of smell is known as olfaction. And connected to that very strongly is the sense of taste, which is known as gustation. So there are a couple of different flavors that we pick up. We detect sweetness, sourness, saltiness, bitterness, and umami. So you may not be familiar with this term. Umami is kind of like a savory, meaty, kind of a dense flavor. So if you think about meat, it doesn't fall into the category of sweet or sour or salty or bitter, but it really has its own very distinct flavor, and that is umami. So these are the different tastes that we're able to detect. The primary organ of taste is the taste bud, and each receptor is specific to its stimulus. So you have specific taste buds that are going to pick up sweetness. You have specific taste buds that are going to pick up sourness and saltiness and bitterness and umami. Taste and smell are separate senses with their own receptor organs. However, they are intertwined. They are intimately intertwined. Tastins, which are chemicals in our foods, are detected by our taste buds, which consist of these special sensory cells that we just talked about. But ultimately, messages about taste and smell come together, and that allows us to detect the flavors of food. And my proof is if you've ever had a really bad head cold and you're all stopped up, you may have noticed that you didn't really detect a lot of flavors. Like it had to be really, really strong for you to pick it up at all. If you did, you may not have at all. And so a lot of times the struggle when you're sick, like with a head cold, is to continue to eat because all of a sudden nothing is really appetizing to you because you can't smell anything. Well, that's because the chemical senses are very closely intertwined. Our skin senses, we pick up different types of sensations on our skin. We have mechanoreceptors. These receptors perceive sensations like pressure, vibrations, and texture. We have thermoreceptors, and it sounds kind of like thermometer, and as their name suggests, these receptors perceive sensations related to the temperature of objects that the skin feels. So if you put your hand on a cold desk or on a warm stove, you're going to pick up those feelings through the thermoreceptors in your skin. And as I kind of alluded to, there are two basic categories of thermoreceptors. There are hot and cold receptors. And then last but not least, there are pain receptors, and there are over 3 million pain receptors throughout the body. They're found in our skin, our muscles, bones, blood vessels, and some organs. And what they do is they pick up, basically, they detect injury. And there are some people who don't have pain receptors, and they can become injured very easily without even really realizing it. You can see a picture of kind of where these receptors are found in the skin. And if you notice, the pain receptors are pretty close to the top of the skin, which means we feel pain pretty easily. But some people seem to have a higher or lower threshold for pain. It probably is an anatomical difference in their skin. Okay, so we talk about body senses. This is kind of a sixth category of senses that a lot of times people don't. This is kind of like a sixth category of senses that a lot of people don't include until they find out just how these senses work. So you've got a vestibular sense. This has to do with balance. Our vestibular system is located primarily in our inner ear. And if you think back to the last video when we were talking about auditory sensation, if you'll remember, we had a part of the ear called the cochlea. Well, right above that are these series of canals. They're called semicircular canals, and they look a lot like a roller coaster, and they are fluid filled, and what they do is they help us to maintain balance. So if something is off in those semicircular canals, it can throw our vestibular sense off our balance. Kinesthetic sense is similar, but it's quite different. It's all about how we can tell the position of our limbs. So I want you to try this right now. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to reach both arms out. Are you doing it? And I want you to try to touch your nose with each hand. You can do it because you know where your limbs are in relation to your nose. You just know that because of your kinesthetic sense. This sense helps us to do things like raise an arm without having to look at it. You don't have to think very much about it. You can reach for something and automatically kind of know how much you have to reach in order to reach an object. So the information is fed back to the brain from our sensory organs in the joints, tendons, and muscles. It's also known as muscle sense. So as you can imagine, people who are athletes or dancers or someone who moves around with their body as part of their daily life have very good vestibular and kinesthetic sense. So what we talked about today are the other senses. Our chemical senses, known as olfaction and gustation, smell and taste, respectively. Our skin senses that can detect temperature and pain and pressure, and our body senses of kinesthetics and vestibular sense. In our next video, we're going to talk all about perception and illusion. I can't wait to see you then. Bye for now.